What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. My name is Miles Gutierrez. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be rewinding the clock back to 2008 when Kung Fu Panda first came out. Now, I remember being somewhat excited for this movie because I really liked the premise of what this movie was, but I really didn't think much of it, and I certainly didn't think that we would be getting four Kung Fu Panda movies. I thought this was going to be a throwaway DreamWorks movie because at this time they were throwing out movies like Flushed Away, which I really personally enjoy and I have a lot of fun with that movie. But it's one of those movies that you grow up with and you watch from time to time. So that's exactly what I thought Kung Fu Panda was going to be. And I was really shocked and surprised at how personal and deep this movie actually was. Because when you watch this movie as a kid, you're not really criticizing a movie, you're just really going into it for the visuals. It will always be a classic to me, and what I really enjoyed about this movie as I've grown up with this movie is the deeper message about this movie and what this movie really is. Because you have Poe, who is the biggest fan of Kung Fu. He has action figures of his hero, the Furious Five, who are voiced by Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, David Cross, Lucy Liu, and Jackie Chan. And when he accidentally gets chosen to be the Dragon Warrior because Tai Lung, an old apprentice of Chifu, played by Dustin Hoffman, is about to escape prison. He's accidentally chosen to be the Dragon Warrior, and there are a lot of messages in this movie that will go over kids' heads. But when you're an adult and you kind of see the tones that they're going for, this movie goes from a throwaway animated movie just to entertain the kids to a more deeper and rich story that you don't really pick up when you're a kid because the animation style for this movie is absolutely fantastic. It's one of those movies that is visually stunning, and I absolutely love the attention to detail, even when the animation style somewhat changes when we get to see Tai Lung's backstory. That is where I absolutely love this movie, and it makes it feel a little bit more richer, a little bit more crisper, and it just doesn't fall into that trap where it's just visuals just to entertain the kids. That is a huge positive that I have for this movie. But upon the layers of this panda being the dragon warrior, being in love with kung fu, having a goose for a father, this movie is a little bit more deeper and more richer than we actually thought because it goes in such a different way. Once Poe goes into the temple with the Furious Five, they kind of reject him at first because he's a panda and they don't expect him to be the Dragon Warrior. They expect one of them to be the Dragon Warrior in order for them to fight off Tai Lung. Really has that message of sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes because sometimes they'll talk down to you, and sometimes when you meet your heroes, they might be nice. But you never know what your heroes are outside of that box that you have them in. So when you get to see that side of Poe and what he has to be dealing with, all this neglect and rejection, it really goes into a more deeper side once we get the backstory of Tai Lung because this could have been a throwaway villain that is just there because he is a menacing villain. But they take the time to give him a backstory that is really tragic in a way, where he was Shifu's apprentice and they saw darkness in him. So that's why they weren't able to make him the Dragon Warrior. And so that kind of gets him in the path of revenge, gets him locked up when he's get ready to escape prison and take revenge. That is where the movie comes a little bit more deeper, and there are subtle things in here that really makes it timeless. There are messages in here that I think will go over kids' heads, but as time goes on and they watch it more, then it becomes a more richer and special movie. Because this movie could have gone the potty humor route, but instead the humor works in here. It doesn't feel forced, it feels natural, just with the surroundings that they have, and it all just works great. Jack Black as Poe is absolutely fantastic, and they turned something that I'm going to be getting into my review for Kung Fu Panda 2 when it comes down to the dynamics between Poe and his dad. That is something that I didn't think was going to become a very special thing, but as we move forward in the next film, that is where it becomes less of a joke and really something unique and could have just been a throwaway gag. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Kung Fu Panda a 10 out of 10. This is an absolutely perfect movie. If I had nitpicks for this movie, it was that we didn't get a lot of lines from Jackie Chan, but that's just a small nitpick. Everything around this movie is just absolutely perfect. It is funny, it is charming. This is a movie that could have been a one and done. Nobody would have seen this movie, and we would have completely forgotten about it. But they turned it into such a special franchise that I'm going to be really excited to see what they're going to be doing with Kung Fu Panda 4. But those are my thoughts on Kung Fu Panda. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you absolutely love this movie? Do you think it's underrated or overrated? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next review.